Hi everyone, it's Gina from Gina K Designs and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be showing you a fun, bright, and cheerful card using the new Hello Lovely card kit and the Modern Floral Bundle that's inside the kit. Now I'm also going to be doing a 5x7 card. Lots of you have asked me to do bigger cards, and I'm going to be featuring Master Layouts 8 for some of the panels. So let's take a look at the stamps and dies here. This is the Modern Floral Stamp Set, and this is the one I'm going to be using. This is a very sketchy design, and it's a lot easier than you think to use this in a card project. I'm also going to be using the Modern Floral Die Set, but I'm not going to be cutting out the flower for this one. I'm just going to be cutting out the word friend and one of the strips, Sentiment Greetings. And then I'm going to be using the Modern Floral Stencil. Now this is an easy stencil to use with this stamp. This sketchy design is so forgiving, and the whole thing really doesn't even have to be lined up if you don't want to line it up. But I am going to show you today how to line it up the best that I can, and I think you're really going to like the way this card turns out. Now I'm going to be using the Master Layouts 8 die set. I'm going to be using the large stitched rectangle and the regular rectangle. I've already pre-cut those for you, and you can see that gives you that cute little stitched edge. And then I have the black panel here that creates the shadow layer. If you're new to Gina K Designs, our Master Layout sets are designed to work together to create different card layouts for you. And this works with the 5x7 cards. So that's what Master Layouts 8 was designed for. Here's a 5x7 card base, and you can see that little black layer just makes this whole panel just pop right out. And so I've already pre-cut these, but I wanted to show you that I was using those today. Now I'm also using something else today, and that is Masking Magic strips. Now I'm using the 1/4 inch strips, but the pack comes with 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch, and 1/8 of an inch strips. We also have full sheets, so you can do other masking techniques, but I really love doing this border technique because it adds another layer without adding any bulk. So what I'm going to do is start with a Masking Magic strip. These are the 1/4 inch ones, and I am going to place these right along the edge of my pre-cut panel here. This is going to help hold the cardstock down onto my scrap paper, and it's also going to create a little shadow layer when I show you how I do that at the end of my stenciling. So I'm going to finish up these little borders, and you want to make sure that you take it right to the edge so that nothing is left hanging out. And then we'll finish the last one over here. Masking Magic is great because it never tears the paper, but it has a nice tight bond, and it even works with watercolor, so it's pretty resistant to water. All right. So now I have that all in place, and I'm going to start with my stamp set. I'm going to be using some black Onyx ink, and I'm going to be using an acrylic block for this. Now you can use a MISTI stamping tool or any stamping platform you have, but because this stamp has already been prepped and it's working really well, it makes it really easy to do this using a block, and that's what I'm going to do. This is one of our comfort blocks. You can see it's got that nice beveled edge, so it's really easy to hold, even if you have arthritis and things like that. Okay, so I always like to have a little scrap of paper. Here's one. Just to check the stamp beforehand to make sure that it's stamping well. Got a little black spot on me here from the ink pad. And that looks pretty good. And then you can see what that design is going to look like. So it's not the whole flower, which makes it nice. And the stencil does not fit perfectly inside this flower, but I am going to show you how to line it up. All right. So one thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to stamp this flower all over and kind of create my own pattern paper look here. So I'm going to stamp this one right in the middle. And then I'm going to turn the block each time I stamp again so it doesn't look like soldiers all lined up, but it has some kind of a natural flow and the flowers are just facing different directions, the way they would be in nature. So I'm turning it up here to get one up here in the top corner. I'm going to press that masking magic back down. I don't want that to come up. All right, we'll do one over here. There we go. And we're going to do one down here. Again, we're going to turn it so it's not going in the same direction. There we go. And one more down here in this corner. Now I am going to fill in on the sides here a little bit, mostly because I want to add a couple more colors to this design, and it really doesn't matter where, like what part of the stamp you use. I'm probably going to use the same part, but just flip it around just to get that in there like that. Okay. So now I've got my random flowers. Now there is another design here in this stamp set that I'm going to add. And that is these tiny flowers here. Can you see those tiny little flowers? We're going to add that too. I do want to place this stamp back in the right spot because I don't want anything to distract my vision. I'm going to be using this stamp set to guide me when it comes to my stenciling. And so this one I'm going to do kind of the same thing. I'm going to stamp it just randomly around. I'll stamp one here. Let's get one. Let's get one over in here. Let's get one up in here. Yeah, that'll work. Just wherever you see some empty space to fill in. Maybe I'll do a little bit over here. Don't be afraid to stamp off of your cardstock. I might do one right in here. Just, I don't know. That might not fit. Let's see. We'll try it. No. Maybe. I think that's going to have a petal over it. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Maybe I'll do one over here. It's random every time you do it. Sometimes it's easier than others. Maybe I'll do one coming in from down here. And I think I'll add something up, maybe right in here. Let's see what we have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That should work. Maybe I'll put something over here too. It's okay if we have a few more than we need to. I feel like that balances it a little better. Okay. So now I'm going to put this back on in the same spot. Sometimes I'm not always good about that, and I just throw them in there any which way, but it's going to be helpful to be able to see this stamp set because this is going to determine where your stencil goes. This stamp set, when it comes in the package, it comes in the package like this, and the stencil comes in the package like this. The words are at the bottom. And this stencil fits perfectly on this loop up here. Let me just show you off here. This loop and this loop here is going to go on this loop and here. So you can see how that just works so nicely. And if you have these areas lined up right here, everything else is going to look great. So that's where I focus. But remember, we turned this stamp. So I'm going to look at this, and I'm going to make sure that I turn this piece of paper to match this flower so that I always can have my stencil in this orientation. Now you also may want to mask off these edges so you don't have any accidents. So I am going to put a Post-it note right here, and I'm going to put another one right over here just to kind of keep my brush from going over the edge. And that can be a little bit sticky. And if it is sticky on the back, you can always put a Post-it note on the other side to make sure that it's not sticky. This way it'll kind of slide over your cardstock better. Kind of double Post-it note it here. Okay, so now it's not going to stick to the paper. Okay, so again, this is the position, and the first flower I stamped in the same position as the stamp, so this should be very easy to line up. Remember, I'm lining this up here and this, and you can also like look at this in here too. Okay, so boom, right down, there it goes. Now my first color that I'm going to use is turquoise. I want to do a turquoise blend, so I'm going to be using some sea glass and some Tranquil Teal. So I'm going to start with the sea glass. And I was using this brush earlier, so I like to have a piece of paper towel close by that I can just brush off any darker color to make sure my colors are more true. Okay, so I'm going to start with some sea glass, and I'm going to just do a light brushing over this flower. Just like that. Now I'm going to slide that right up because this is the same orientation. I'm going to slide that right up, and where I'm going to line this up is this little point here, right here, is going to go into this point here. Can you see that right there? And this V right here is going to fall into this V right here. And if you always do that on these flowers, it's going to line up really easily. You're going to be able to see it. But again, if I turned it any which way, these flowers are so loose and the line is so loose and sketchy that it wouldn't even matter. And I might have to do that on these sides because it's really going to be hard for me to know where the flower was on the sides. But it's still going to look great. Okay, so here we go with the darker Tranquil Teal. There we go. That's my first flower. Very sketchy, very loose. I love it. Now I'm going to clean those off with my tidy towel. Get the other side. And remember, it's always a good idea to kind of dab your paper towel on there so that you don't get any water on your cardstock. Okay, now for my next flower, I'm going to go down here. I'm going to use some greens. So let me find my greens. Here they are. I'm going to use jelly bean green and grass green together. It's a nice combination. It's not too dark, like fresh asparagus sometimes can get too dark. And I'm doing my flower in green just because I don't have any leaves here and I want to add some green. So there's no rules. It's stamping. You can do whatever you want. So you see I turned my flower so that that center dot in the flower, the center of the flower, is in the same orientation as the stamp. And that means my stencil should fit right on there, just like that. Okay. Now I am going to use a little bit of the jelly bean first. Okay. And I'm going to go right on there. Using kind of a light touch for this one, this color. And then I'm going to move to the grass green color and just slide this stencil right up, lining up those areas that I told you before. Like that. Now I'm using grass green, which is the darker green, and getting a coating of that darker in there for that second layer. Okay? Now, because I already went over these flowers in green, these little flowers, I'm going to just stencil those right now. Now you can see these flowers, the shape of the flower is kind of like a V. It goes out. It's got a kind of a V shape. So does the stencil. It has a V shape. So just look for the V in any of these and you'll be able to line it up very easily. Now these again are very sketchy, so it doesn't matter if it's perfect. As long as you've got it kind of in the area, it's going to look great. So there we go. A little bit of green on that, and those little flowers are done as well. Okay, I haven't decided where I'm going to put the blue yet, so because I've got a lot of stuff going on up here. So now I'm going to clean that again, and I want to make sure that it's dry on the back. Now my next color is going to be purples. I'm going to do purples on this one up here. Okay, so I got to get that in the same orientation as the stamp set, so it's going to be easy to line up. And I'm going to use light lilac and medium lilac for this. So let's get that right where it needs to be. Okay, and we're going to start with the light lilac. Get that light lilac on there. Okay, and then we're going to add medium lilac on top. Just sliding the stencil right up into the place where I showed you earlier. Okay, and then because these flowers got a little lilac on them, this is going to be my purple little bunch here. So I got to get that. Let's see, where is... This is the V right here. There we go. And if you ever get lost, always look for this flower right here, where it's only got half the design. Then you'll know where the V is, because this flower doesn't have a full design all around it like these two do. Okay. So we'll get that in there, and without cleaning my brush or anything, just going to use a light hand and add a little bit of that lilac color on there. Okay, so now we have 3 flowers done. This is coming along. Looking good. All right, I'm making quite a rainbow here, so we're going to use every color pretty much. So up here on this side, I'm going to do, no, I think I'll start down here. I'm going to do some oranges. So I'm going to use Tangerine Twist, which is this one, and Sweet Mango. These look really nice together, Tangerine Twist and Sweet Mango. You know, if you're looking for colors that layer nicely for layered stamps or stenciling, these are the combinations that I would highly recommend. Now we have to get that back into that same orientation as the stamp, and that'll make it easy to just plop the stencil right on there again. There we go. Okay. Good enough. Better than horrible. And I'm going to start with the Sweet Mango. Get it into position. Again, I'm not like super worried that it's perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect because the design isn't perfect. It's meant to be sketchy. And then we're going to use Tangerine Twist next. So bump that up. And we'll do our Tangerine Twist. And then down here is going to be my orange flower cluster, because I kind of went into it there anyway. And again, looking for that open flower. And there's my V. I'm going to place that right there and add a little bit of color. There we go. So now I think I'm going to do these two right here. So let me just clean off this color. I know I'm getting my Post-it note a little damp, but not super damp. So over here on this side, I'm going to do some red. And it's such a small amount of petals that I'm not even going to worry about having 2 reds. I'm just going to use a really light hand. I'm going to plop the stencil anywhere. Doesn't matter. I'm not trying to line it up. And I'm going to just use whatever red, here's my red brush, whatever red is left on my brush, I'm going to just throw a little red on here, like that. And then I'm going to ink it up with some Red Hot to get it a little darker. And again, I don't care if this is perfect or not, I'm just finding a spot. And I'll get some darker red in there. Okay, then I'm going to make this little cluster here my red cluster. So that I can line up because I've got more of that going on. I'm going to go over the blue a little, but that's all right. There we go. Okay. And you know, I think I'm going to make this down here red as well. Might as well while I'm here and I've got the red going. I'll just add a little red into that one. Okay. Now we're going to do this side, and this side I'm going to do with some yellows. Now I have two yellows that work really nicely together. I have Lemon Drop and Wild Dandelion. Lemon Drop is a nice light yellow, and Wild Dandelion is a very bright, vibrant primary yellow. But I may just go with one brush again, I mean one color again, since I'm just doing a tiny bit over here. So I think what I'm going to do, and I'm going to bring that in even a little bit more, like here. I'm just going to go ahead and use whatever yellow is left on here. All right. Then I'm going to ink it up with some of that Wild Dandelion. And then I'll add a little bit of something over here with this stencil. The second part. So you can see I'm not worrying at all about these two sides. Just want to bring in that little pop of color. And this will be my yellow tiny cluster of flowers that I can line up because it's easy. And I'll give that just a little light yellow shading there. Brings more yellow in. Okay, we're getting there. Now my final colors are going to be pink. So I'm going to use two of my faves, which is the light Carnation and the medium Carnation. So I'm going to get my Carnation brush here and turn this into the position where the flower matches the stamp set. And then I'm going to start with the light Carnation. Okay, got this way. There we go, right in there. But you can already tell which little cluster is going to be pink. Okay, so I'll start with the light Carnation. And then we'll go to the medium Carnation. I always feel like the medium Carnation makes it look even pinker. This is a very salmon-y pink, but when you get that other color on top, it really brings it all together. They're beautiful together. Here we go. All right. And then this is going to be my pink cluster of flowers. Right here. I'm going to go over the green just a tiny bit, but that's all right. And then I'll make this over here pink as well, because we have to do something with that one. I should have made that turquoise, but that's all right. I'll make this turquoise. It's okay if they're mixed up a little bit. It's still going to look really good. So we'll bring some turquoise in down here. Get my turquoise brush. There we go. As long as we have a little bit of everything, it's going to look good. Okay, now this would be the time when I would normally peel off the borders and you would get to see the beautiful border behind this background. But this is not going to look like a beautiful border yet because, as you can see, there's white here, there's white here, 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 right? So we need something to distinguish all along this edge between the inside and the border that we're trying to create. And that's where my turquoise sea comes in. Now, normally I wouldn't mix turquoise sea and orange or yellow. Well, yellow is going to be fine because it's just going to make it a little green, but orange is kind of a brown. But in this case, we want continuity going around the outside. So I'm going to take my turquoise sea brush and I'm going to just create a light border going around the entire edge here. It's almost undetectable right now, almost hard to see, but it'll make a huge difference when I peel the Masking Magic off because you really want to be able to see the difference between the white edge and the inside floral design. You need this color around the outside. And you can see it still looks very white. I'm not going far in at all. Okay, Now it's time to peel and reveal. So let's do it. We'll peel this one first. So can you see here now? I've got that nice edge. And if I didn't do that little turquoise sea brushing along the outside, you wouldn't see that. Same thing here, here, and there. Look how pretty that is. It kind of brings it all together and it makes it look less messy. Looked a little messy before, but that really brings it together. All right, so now I'm going to add this panel onto the black panel using a little bit of masking, a little bit of Gina K Designs Adhesive Dot Runner. We're done with masking magic now. And when you do these larger cards, it is good to really get tape all the way up. With the smaller ones, I kind of just do the corners, but these are so big that they can kind of ripple a little bit if you don't have them perfect. Okay. So let's see, let's go ahead and pop that on there. There we go, looking good. And then this whole panel is going to go onto my 5x7 card base. And to cut that, you want it to be 10x7, and then you score it at the 5-inch mark on the 10-inch side. And we'll add that, same thing, because it is big. I don't want it to buckle on the sides. Sometimes if you don't do this, you get a little buckling right in here if you just do the top 4 or the 4 corners. Okay, so now we've got that in place. Now, we could do this card either vertically or horizontally, and you could have a card that opens this way. It's totally up to you. I'm going to do my card this way, and then I'm going to show you a vertical or a horizontal version. I'm going to move this just a little bit. I feel like it's just a little off to the right. But I'm going to show you the other version because I actually made this card earlier and I did it the other way. So let's get this in place. There we go. Okay, now I've already stamped and cut the word friend right here. And I already stamped with some white pigment ink, and then I put white embossing powder on top and embossed that over some black cardstock. So we're going to use some foam squares and pop up the greetings on this. Put one here, one here, put one in the middle, right here. And then it'll be a little floppy if I don't put something down there. So I've cut some of these in half to make them a little skinnier. And I'll just pop those down here. You just take your scissors and cut these foam squares. Just cut a little strip of them in half, and then you have everything that you need for those areas as well. Okay. Let's get these off. And then we'll place this. Okay, let's see where we're going to place it. I think we could go right up here, right there. That would be nice. Put that in place. And then I'm also going to put a couple foam squares, these little smaller ones that I cut. I'm going to put these on the back of the Love You. And you could do this either way. You could do friend, love you, or love you, friend. I'm going to do love you, friend. So we'll get that straight. Looking good. Oops, forgot to let go. That would help. There we go. Okay. And so there is my finished card. Now let me show you the horizontal version that I did. So here you can see you could turn it that way and do the same thing, and it's just as pretty. So either way, however you like to make your 5x7 cards, just like your A2 size cards, you can go in both directions using that Master Layouts 8 die set and make a nice big bold card with that beautiful patterned background. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's card video, and I hope you'll give this technique a try. Stay tuned to my channel for more videos and more Stampin' Chat live videos too. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you again real soon.